Hey, how's everyone doing? Today I just wanted to show some of the seeds that I bought this past year with the hopes of growing them next season. I often buy a lot of seeds with the idea I'm like, oh, I'm going to preserve this variety and whatnot. But I just wanted to start with the first variety. It's the mini blue popcorn. It's from Baker Creek. There's also a pink variety, I believe. It takes 100 to 110 days to mature. Produces up to 3 to 4 ears per stalk, ranging from 2 to 4 inches long, so not super impressive. But the plants often reach 6 to 7 feet tall. One reviewer claimed that 20 plants produced about 3.5 pounds of shelled popcorn, with some claiming it does well in dry weather. So I'll hope to see how it does in my climate. The second variety I wanted to show is the Bloody Butcher ornamental corn. It is believed to have originated in Virginia in the early 1800s, but no one really knows the true origin. I assume it was traded or taken from Native Americans and then later improved, in quotations. I bought this from True Leaf Market, which I think is a wholesaler of other seed companies. This variety is used for whiskey production and a mixture of other things. Has higher protein and lower starch content. The third variety is the Hopi Purple. I got this from Baker Creek. Has a history and cultural significance tied to the Hopi Nation. It is grown in high desert environment using dryland farming practices, usually in a big cluster and around 4 feet. You kind of separate them about 4 feet from another bundle. They grow 8-inch ears and have high protein. 105 days to maturity, 1 to 2 years usually. All right, so the next variety is the Japanese holeless popcorn. I bought this from True Leaf Market. It is said to tolerate heat in drought-prone areas. It grows 4 to 5 feet tall. It has 3 to 6 4-inch long ears per stalk. It's described as a nutty popcorn flavor, and it was once called the Australian holeless. It's kind of interesting. All right, so the next variety is another Hopi variety. The Hopi grew a variety of different colored corn varieties. They all have different significance and cultural meanings for their rituals and prayers. It's basically this is a reiteration of the previous variety. I pretty much just got this because it was pink and I thought it was cool. But I think they get between 5 and 7 feet tall in my experience. They do pretty good. Would like to try to grow them in clusters or mounds again rather than the traditional block method. But I'm excited to grow them. All right, so the next one is the pencil cob corn. I got this from True Leaf Market. It is an early maturing plant. It only takes about 70 to 100 days to mature. It tolerates heat and drought. It is said to have a cob that is thin as a pencil that produces long and deep kernels. 6 to 12 foot stalks, 2 to 3 ears. Described as having a very hearty corn flavor. I was interested in this variety because of its slender length and hope to compare it to the Hickory King White. This variety probably won't be grown as much for me unless it is better than the Hickory King. Next on the table is the spaghetti squash. Everyone knows a good spaghetti squash. Usually you find them at your local nurseries. Used as a pasta replacement, 80 to 100 day maturity, stores throughout the winter, can mature over 8 inches long. Benefits from having a little bit of mulch, guys. So keep that in mind if you plant the same variety or whatever. The next variety is the OG Table Queen Bush Acorn Squash. It is from True Leaf. It's similar to the spaghetti squash, 80 days to maturity. Introduced from the Iowa Seed Company in 1913. You average 2 to 3 pound fruit, up to 7 inches in diameter. Known to be prolific and keep well. I'm excited to see how well this high yield is. All right, next is the Lakota Squash. I chose this because it was once a staple of the Lakota Sioux people. It's known to be relatively rare for the general consumer. It takes 85 to 100 days to mature. Pear-shaped orange squash with deep green streaks. Sweet and nutty tasting flavor. Great for baking. Quality similar to the Hubbard squash, 5 to 7 pounds. All right, next we're getting to the watermelons. This next one is the Georgia Rattlesnake watermelon. I got this from True Leaf. It's called the Georgia Rattlesnake because of the dark green stripes, kind of look like a rattlesnake pattern. It's developed in the 1830s in the South, also known as the Gypsy and Augusta rattlesnake. It takes 90 days to mature, 25 to 50 pound fruit, strong grower, and picnic melon allegedly. Following the rattlesnake, we have the Jubilee Watermelon. It is a bit confusing on the website. The description doesn't make sense. It's referred to as a hybrid variety, but then it's classified as an heirloom. Whoever's writing the descriptions needed a refresher on the terms. But the fruit is similar in size, 25 to 40 pounds, oblong shape, recommended for growing indoors if you're living in a colder climate, just to extend the growing period. Supposedly developed in 1963 by Florida Ag Experiment Stations. All right, so I got this from the Native Seed Search. It was founded in 1983. They're focused on conserving various indigenous and heirloom varieties from the American Southwest and Mexico. Basically just a big seed bank. This one is from the Sonora in Mexico. It's the Magdalene Big Cheese. I'm interested in growing this as it seems to be a good producer. Looks like a cheese wheel. It's from the high desert, so I'm hoping it's heat and drought tolerable. I'd like to see what it can do. Next up is the Murray Canario. It is a yellow cream bean. It's a staple in some cultures, collected in Murray County in Chihuahua, Mexico. It is a determinate variety, aka a bush bean. There was some comment that made me buy this. It was basically saying that he didn't water it, and he said it in a funny way, so it was good marketing. All right, next up is the New Mexico Bolitas. It is a pinkish beige bean grown traditionally in northern Mexico with irrigation, allegedly faster to cook and richer tasting than pinto beans. High yielding from high desert. You see the trend everywhere. With all the varieties with Native Seed Search are kind of growing these same ecotypes. My goal is to bring these varieties to my climate and get them adjusted and acclimated to the soil and weather so they can be a good producer with little water. All right, next is a cowpea, some variety. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm curious how this is an indigenous seed if cowpeas are not native to the continent. Allegedly, this is originally collected near Rio Yaqui and Anavas in Sonora, Mexico. It's a warm season crop. Curious to see how they grow because if they're prolific, I would like to use them as a warm season cover crop. All right, next up is another bean called Sawa Raume. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. It is a vigorous plant producing flavorful beans with creamy texture. It is gold, high yielding. It's supposedly day length sensitive, so in a pole bean as well, so it might not do well in colder in northern climates. One review underneath mentioned that growing them in a zone 7A, but mentioned they did not mature quickly and maybe better to start indoors and transplant if possible, or plant an area with a different microclimate. The next one is Baker Creek variety. It's black turtle. It's grown a lot in Latin America. It's said to have a meaty, rich texture that is high in anthocyanin. It's said to be northern hardy, but originally collected in a village in Mexico, 95 days to maturity, full sun, warm season. All right, and this is the last variety on my list. It is the Pink Beauty Amaranth. This was a free gift seed from True Leaf or Baker Creek Seed. It is mostly an ornamental with some versatility, heat-tolerant greens with pink-colored stalks. It's a spinach substitute, though some claim the leaves are a bit bitter and more than spinach. So do take note. It's from India and is used in stir fries down there. So full sun I plan to grow this in a pot as decor. And that is it, guys. Please let me know if you would like me to go do updates for any varieties that I'm planning on growing. If you're curious, or please write in the comments below any experiences you have with any of the varieties I'm growing. Let me know what I can expect.